Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 best suburbs to live in here in Orlando, and I know for a fact the number one pick will surprise you. Stay tuned. So really quick disclaimer, these opinions are not of my own. I am a real estate agent, so I cannot steer you in one way or another, but I'm using this information from the site I know a lot of you guys use when you're doing research, and that is niche.com. So without further ado, let's get straight into it with number 10, which you probably would not have guessed this one either, but that is Gotha, Florida. If you've never heard of Gotha, I don't blame you. It's very small. It has a population of a little bit over 1,600 people. It's kind of sandwiched in between Winter Garden and Windermere. So location-wise, it's actually pretty immaculate because you're like 10 minutes from Winter Garden Village, which has, tons of stores from Target to Best Buy to dining options and all that kind of stuff. And then if you go just south of that, you have the 429 there that you can hop on. So that's like 7 minutes. The real challenge in living with Gotha, though, is finding a home in Gotha because there are so few listings, very reminiscent of Baldwin Park. Right now on the MLS, there's only 2 listings in Gotha, one for 1.5 and another for 2.2. They do have homes in the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 price range, but that is Gotha in a nutshell. Number 9 is going to be Waukesha Springs, and if you're not familiar, the zip code is going to be 32779, which actually technically means Longwood. That's exactly what's going to pop up on your address, at least. However, you're about 40 minutes to Disney from this location, about 40 minutes to the airport, and you're about 25 minutes to downtown. So I can certainly see this working if you work downtown or you play downtown. Pretty similar to Gotha in the fact that it's not a very large area, but I love the slower paced vibe. Maybe it's because it's just a bit up north, kind of removed from the hustle and bustle, which I know a lot of people will love. You got the Waukesha Springs State Park right next to you. Depending on the community that you live in, it can literally be across the street, which is great. Another reason why I like this area is because it's rubbing elbows with Apopka location-wise. And if you've been following my videos, Apopka has seen some really cool developmental news lately. Everything from Florida's largest rock climbing gym to Wild Oaks, a 230-acre mixed-use project, and many other cool things that this part of town just hasn't seen. So I think this will be a really good feeder area for all the growth going on in Apopka. In terms of homes, the real estate is more affordable here. So if you're looking for a decent home in the 4s, 5s, 6s, this is probably going to be a place that you want to look at. One thing I love about these homes is the absolute character on the exterior, because these are homes in the 1970s, 60s, 80s, and they look stunning. And so buying a home in this area means you're probably buying a remodel, or you're buying something with that classic exterior where the interior needs to be updated to your liking. So certainly would not forget or leave out this on a search. If you're looking within that area, make sure we take a look at Waukesha Springs. So number 8 on the list is a suburb that I consider to be a very underrated suburb of Orlando, and that's probably due to its location. But if you haven't guessed it, I'm talking about Lake Mary. Lake Mary is up north. You're about 40, 45, 50 minutes to Disney, about 40 again to the Orlando International Airport, and you're probably about 30 minutes to downtown Orlando. So if you work downtown Orlando, this again might be a really great option for you. If you work remote and none of these actually matter, you're not going to Disney every single day, and you're not traveling a ton, I think this is actually a solid spot for you to be. And you're pretty close to the beach also. You're about an hour away from East Coast, so Daytona, Cocoa, you can hit those up and come back in a jiffy, enough for a spontaneous trip. So I really love that about the location in Lake Mary, but otherwise it has everything that everybody would want. Schools are incredibly rated. If you like golf, you got golf. If you like Top Golf, you got Top Golf. You have restaurants, you have jobs, which is a very important thing to note about Lake Mary. Even in Niche's description, it talks about a lot of young professionals working there because you got a lot of big companies stationed in the Lake Mary area. And so I think all around, if you're again not a big commuter, I think Lake Mary has everything that you would need. And so then you might be saying, Romario, if it has everything and it's so great, the real estate might be incredibly expensive. And the truth be told, it's not necessarily an outlier. You can find homes that are 3.2s in the high 3s. If you're looking for newer homes, they don't have a ton of new construction in Lake Mary, so you'd probably be looking in Griffin Park and then Steeplechase for really large homes, and that's going to be up over $1 million. So don't overlook Lake Mary. So we're not going too far from Lake Mary for our 7th best suburb, and that's going to be Winter Springs, which is located just southeast of Lake Mary. And so in terms of drive time, it's slightly better than Lake Mary, ever so slightly. You're still about 40 minutes or so to Disney, about 40 minutes or so to the airport, and you're looking at maybe about 25 minutes to downtown Orlando. Incredibly calm and quiet and laid back. If you love that slower paced lifestyle, much like Waukee Springs, I would certainly recommend taking a look at Winter Springs. They have a lot of public parks also, which is a really nice thing if you're somebody that loves the outdoors, trails, all that kind of stuff. They got miles and miles of trails in Winter Springs. The other thing that really strikes out in Winter Springs is the real estate, because it is so much more affordable. You can literally get a remodeled pool home for under $500,000. So you can certainly find things much more affordable here. If you're looking for luxury, unlike the other areas, this is certainly not going to be the place that you'll find that in abundance. Most homes here really sit in between that $300,000 to $700,000 range on the high end, and that's for like new construction by dream finders. And so otherwise, you're looking at resale, you're looking at older homes. They do have quite a bit of like non-HOA regulated communities. So if that's also something that you're looking for, great area for it as well. And I really wanted to point this out because this definitely shows the flaws in these websites, is that depending on where in Winter Springs you're at is where you'll be able to zone for the A-rated and B-rated schools. Otherwise, the ratings are different. So certainly be sure when you're looking to kind of double check for that neighborhood what schools are zoned for that specific neighborhood. Apart from that, I think out of all the options that are on this list today, Winter Springs is probably going to be the best option for those who are budget conscious, but you're still looking for decent proximity to everything in Orlando. Now we're entering into the top 5, and number 5 is one that you should know pretty well if you follow this channel, and that is